Hi, welcome back to the Twin Moons channel. My name's Sean, and I just wanted to have a brief chat, introduce and welcome everybody to 2020. I know we're about the 17th of the month, so it's a long time overdue, but I want to have a bit of a chat about what we're all experiencing right now, and in particular, the challenges that some are experiencing at the moment. Those challenges are not meant to be just challenges, they're meant to be opportunities or catalyst for growth and change. But it's all very easy for us to say that, but in an emotional sense, it can create turmoil, turbulence, and untold disruption within what otherwise may have been quite a orderly life. And it's unfortunate, but this is 2020 and this is what we're seeing. Effectively, what we are being challenged to do is to become more authentically aspects of our multidimensional selves. So what does that mean? It means we can't live in 3D anymore. And the push into 5D has been a long time coming. We've all experienced aspects of that over the last several years as we have become more, what the term we would use, more crystallized. Crystallized is a term that I would use and many others would use to talk about the balance that we are obtaining, but also the changes that are happening at our chakras level. And those chakra changes are anchoring us to different energy wavelengths, different frequencies of energy that we are anchored to in tandem. So we're anchored in a 3D sense, and now we're anchored in a 5D sense. If you're watching this, you may well be aware of these energetic changes because they've been playing havoc in your life. And particularly as each of our chakras has been attaining a more balanced aspect, it has also been changing. And that change is what we would say it's been attaining a crystalline nature. So ultimately, as we change, our energy changes, our DNA changes, and so everything to do with our energy bodies change. So what are we talking about? Well, our root chakra is not what it used to be. Overlaid over the traditional root chakra, which is all to do with life force energy and the core of our being in a physical sense, we've been having to anchor, and the energies that have been around us have been promoting change. And that change is to anchor us also into the 5D aspect. How can we expect to fulfill our next phases of our development to actually transition into a 5D or more higher density and a higher dimensional state if we aren't anchored into those energies? If you're feeling those energies, then you're anchored into them. And everybody who's listening to this and watching this now, whether it be a podcast, audio only, or a video presentation, would know that you're feeling 5D energies. Those are heightened, they magnify your emotional state, they magnify your sensitivities, and they also magnify your intuition. So what does this mean? Well, many of us are being challenged in a personal sense to step into a more authentic state of being. What does that mean? It means that we can't simply continue living in a 3D world. We need to balance our 3D aspects because we still need to live, we need to function. We have families that rely on us and that we rely on. But what's happening is those family structures are also changing. And so we find a need to be able to progress into a more balanced 3D/5D existence. It might be your jobs changing, it might be your emotional states changing, it may be your relationships that are changing. It's usually not all at the same time, but what you may find is as one door or one challenge is completed, the changes within you are bedded in, that a new door opens and a new set of changes are brought to the fore. So that might mean that some of our relationships, if they're not serving, if they're very 3D anchored, you might find they're under pressure to change. Now that change doesn't mean to necessarily throw away, it doesn't mean to leave everything that you know, but what it may mean is a fundamental change in being open and honest. Honesty and openness are two central aspects of authenticity. and maintaining an integral aspect of who you are with integrity and trust is also about authenticity. You're stepping into your authentic self. There is no hiding of anything, including how you are feeling, including the change that you're undertaking as part of your development. So be patient, be aware of your own energetic and emotional state, be aware of the emotional state of those around you. Be forgiving, be balanced, don't react. Please take this one slow step at a time. But as with everything, if you're not in the flow, the energies will push you. If you are effectively fighting against these changes, the energy will be building up behind you like a headwater. And eventually the dam will break and you'll be propelled forward. But under those circumstances, you'll have less control. Control is an illusion, but less ability to steer the nature of your outcome. So, slow progression. Be aware of those changes. Step into that more balanced frame of mind and body and spirit, which is all around balance between 3D and 5D. Many of us are challenged by this repeatedly, and you might find a repeated cycle. As was this was raised in some recent conversations that I had with my peers and family members on planet and off planet. What we'll find is that these challenges are presented in a cyclic nature. If the challenge of learning is presented and we understand it, we learn it, then usually we're presented with one more opportunity, one more cycle to prove, if you will, to yourself, not to anybody else, because there's no one else to prove, we're all one, to prove that you've got it. And then that particular aspect has been completed. That's been integrated into your body, your mind, your spirit, into you as a sovereign being, and you step forward to the next challenge. However, if that cycle continues and completes without any sign that you have understood the nature of the challenge or looked at ways in which you could expand or adapt or get it, then the spiral will continue. And the next spiral up will be magnified. It will be a heightened energetic state of the same, broadly speaking, the same experience or the same learning opportunity, the same catalyst. Only thing is, if you don't get it this time, it will spiral up and up and up until such a point that there is no ability for you to miss it. There's no ability for you to avoid it. And unfortunately, the nature of the challenge will be magnified. So please pay attention, be mindful, be aware of what's happening to you and around you, and take the opportunity to engage. Engage with your peers, your family members in a spiritual and consciousness sense. Will be stepping forward. You'll be, right now, we are all stepping forward. So find your family members, find your groups, attend those conferences that you're drawn to, make those core relationships, establish those, and you will find you naturally will gravitate to your family members, because what you'll see is that's happening right now. Because in terms of being authentic, it's also supported authenticity, supported balance. So what you'll find is that your family members are stepping forward. They're not sitting in the background. Many of us were placed all over the planet in very, very covert locations, very hidden locations. Many of us have been hesitant to step forward because the belief in a 3D sense that will be considered crazy, that will be considered strange. Don't worry. Step forward anyway. Use your discernment. Speak your mind, but only to the degree that you believe is necessary for you to take the first step with these individuals. And then behind you, beside you, you'll find your family stepping forward as well. You'll find it's not such a hard burden when there's more than just yourself that's stepping forward and making that movement, making that choice to step into your 5D aspect, as challenging as that may be. Will you still encounter those who really do not get it and don't wish to get it, don't wish to listen? Yes. And that's perfectly fine because they're on their own journey, their own path. They weren't meant to get it. They're not ready to get it. They're not ready to integrate these learnings into their life because they have to do the groundwork before they can incorporate that. It's enough to be caring and service oriented for them that they may, simply by being in your presence, by having you around as a enlightened individual and somebody who's willing to really provide support without any expectation of anything in return, that will have a tendency to rub off on some. And it might be that there's individuals that have stepped forward in different ways. For instance, there's a group here in Australia called the Feel the Magic Foundation that runs a camp called Camp Magic for kids, anybody under the age of 18, that's experienced a loss of a direct family member, so a parent or a sibling. It's quite possible that many who haven't fully awoken feel drawn to service that is just as important as an awakened service, actually to some degree more so, because they're acting in that pure sense of needing to serve others, needing to support and help others, no expectation of return, and they're doing so without needing to or understanding that they are developing their 5D aspects. Because of that, you'll find that many will be stepping forward and offering aid and support. Here in Australia, with the bushfires, people are coming out of the woodwork to provide support. They're doing so in an incredibly giving way. They're not necessarily 5D awake. They're not necessarily awake from a consciousness point of view. Look at it this way. They may not need to be. They're every bit as service-oriented as the most awake individual. So support and awareness comes in many forms. Don't need to rabidly red pill others. All you need to do is to understand where they are, listen to them rather than waiting for the opportunity to speak. And what I'm finding is just learn from the experience that individuals that you would think of as not awake can be every bit as teacher as student. So take that into your life. I hope you found a core of information in this recording that is useful to you. Be patient with yourself. Understand that you're in a boat going down a river. You don't necessarily have an ability to steer, but you can experience the flow of life without hitting the rapids. So, but you can nudge, you can influence, as long as you're authentic, as long as you are coming from a service orientation, service to other, service to all. You will find at the same time others that are not service oriented. That's okay. Step aside, step around, move on. Don't hold on to emotions, let them flow through you, and I'm sure you'll find yourself in a better place very soon. If you want to continue this conversation, you find something in what I've mentioned useful to you, please reach out, whether it's by leaving comments here on the YouTube recording, whether it's to contact me via my website, which is twinmoons.net. I will definitely return the communication and we can have more of a chat about it. But if not, please keep an eye on recordings. There'll be many more recordings in 2020. Some of those will hopefully be live conversations. I'll be doing some live broadcasts. And many will be of this nature. Not necessarily all. Some will be reviewing papers that I'm publishing on the website, items of interest, technical research areas, but these conversations just as important. So with that, have a great day, a great evening, a great morning, wherever you are in the world. Enjoy life and please know that you're not alone. All right. Take care. Bye for now.